Hello there, Sam here with Kyber Light, here to give you an introduction and run you through some of the basics of a V5 night pack. What we're going to talk about today applies to all Kyber lightsabers. So whether you got a master pack or a dual saber, or you were really baller and got a grandmaster pack, this is going to apply. So to start off, you'll remember from our tour video that this is what we have in the box. We've got a basic lightsaber hilt, we got our silver hilt here, an emitter, a sleeve, a pommel cap. We've also got our Allen wrench, and then our small set of screws right here that are going to help us put all this together. We also have our blade. So we're going to go through how to set up a basic Kyber light using the accessories, and then we're going to show you how to attach the blade so you can get going. So let's get started. First of all, take your hilt. Like I said, we've got a silver hilt here, and the first thing you're going to want to do is install the pommel cap. That's the easiest part to put on. The pommel cap goes just into the bottom of the saber, very simply. It's threaded just like the inside of the saber is. You'll notice there's a small speaker down there. That's where sound will come out when you turn on the saber. But before we get there, we're just going to quickly screw in the pommel cap here on the bottom, which will eventually go in. There we go. And that should just fit nice and snug. Next, you're going to put on the sleeve. So the sleeve here just goes right on top. You'll notice there are 3 buttons here on top of the sleeve, 3 button holes. You want to match those with the 3 button holes on your Kyber light hilt. So you don't want to put it on upside down, they won't match. You want to put it on so that the button holes are at the top, matched with the top. It'll slide over very simply, and then you'll line up those 3 holes, the charge port, the AUX button, and the power button. Now, the next piece is we got to screw these down before we put any other accessories on. The first thing we're going to do is install the CoverTech wheel. That installation is going to double as a securing mechanism for the sleeve and the hilt. So we're just going to screw that in here on the right hand side in the CoverTech screw port. What you do is you take your CoverTech wheel, you line that up. You're going to line it up with the hole. So you'll notice there's a hole here that goes through both the sleeve and the hilt. You're going to line the CoverTech wheel up like that. You're going to make sure, you'll notice the CoverTech wheel is actually rounded right there. It's kind of curved. You want to make sure you line up that curvature with the sleeve and the hilt, because the sleeve and hilt obviously are round as well, so that'll fit perfectly. Then you're going to grab the long button screw and you're going to drop that into the CoverTech wheel. It should settle into place roughly. It might be floating there a little bit, that's okay. Then you're going to grab your Allen wrench, and I like to use the Allen wrench right side up. You can use it down. I feel like a bit more control when I've got it vertical. Put that in there and just press and screw it down. Now you should feel it gets tight. Don't over tighten it. You'll strip the screw, you might strip the actual Allen wrench, just be careful. Just tighten it till it's tight, and you'll notice that now the sleeve is on there solid. Now we have a secondary securing mechanism here. We have a small or a short button screw, and this just goes on the opposite side of the CoverTech wheel. It drops in right there. There's nothing else that needs to be done. We grab our Allen wrench once again, and we screw that piece in. Now again, we're just going to screw that till it's tight, till we feel a bit of resistance, not too much. You don't have to push it too hard. And now you'll notice that the sleeve is secured. Now with that, we're going to put on the emitter. So the emitter just goes on the top of the saber, just like that. Now, you'll notice that the holes for the emitter line up with the holes on the front and the back. So the front, this is the emitter screw port, and on the back here you've got the set screw or the blade screw port. So first we're going to install what we have is called the thumb screw in the front emitter screw port. So you just put that in there, and with your hand, you just screw it. No tools required. You'll just screw it till it's tight, and you'll notice now the emitter is on nice and tight. Last but not least, you're going to place the set screw in the back port here on the opposite side of the thumb screw. Once again, we're just going to screw this in. Now, we're not going to screw it in all the way. We're just going to give it a couple turns so that it holds in there, because now we're going to install the blade. If we have our set screw screwed all the way in, well, the blade won't go in. It needs to be in just partially, then the blade goes in, and then we're going to screw in the actual set screw or the blade screw all the way in. So to show you that, we take our Kyber light blade. This is a 32-inch polycarbonate blade. You'll notice that you have a tip on the blade, and you've got a base of the blade. The base goes into the top of the emitter. You're not going to put the tip into the top. It won't fit anyway, so you'll know. So we just put that in there. You'll feel it kind of push in, and you'll feel it. It won't let you put it any further. That's how you know you've inserted it at its maximum length. And then we're just going to tighten the set screw here, the blade screw, so that it holds the blade in place. Now, you'll know the blade is inserted correctly when you cannot remove it with your own strength. That means it's going to hold up under combat and under play. A big mistake people make is they don't secure the screw tight enough, and when they are swinging around the saber, the blade goes flying off and it breaks property or people. Now, as part of the basic setup for a Kyberlite, many of you have ordered a master pack. The master pack comes with all of the accessories that really give you hundreds of combinations. Now, there's a few exceptions, however, when using a few of these accessories that we wanted to inform you about, mainly around the emitters. So some of these emitters have a special screw that come in your screw kit. It's a long button screw, and this is a long button screw that's used. There's actually two that come in your pack. One for your CoverTech wheel. The second one is for these special emitters, and I'll show you how that works. Most of the time, when you're using emitters with Kyberlite, you'll just use the basic thumb screw. It's pretty universal. However, when you use one of our plasma fire arbiters, or for example our dwarves, or our cataclysmic, other accessories, because the emitter is larger and heavier, and so it needs greater securing to the actual hilt. So I've got here an arbiter to give you an example. The arbiter will not fit with the thumb screw. You'll try it, but the thumb screw will not fit with the arbiter. So you'll need to use your second long button screw, excuse me. What we do is we put the arbiter on, and very simply it comes down and it comes down to the hole that we have for it right there. You'll notice on the back the set screw button lines up as well. And you're just like any other Kyberlite screw, you're going to pop it on, line it up a bit, grab your Allen wrench, and just screw it down. Wait till you get a bit of resistance. You'll notice that's locked in there. Now you've been able to change the look of your saber, but you just had to use a different screw. Now the set screw is exactly the same. It'll just pop into the back. You'll drop it down. This is for the blade. And using the long end of your Allen wrench, hold that in place. There you go. That'll go the same for the plasma fire and for other accessories. So don't panic if your thumb screw isn't working. Just try the long button screw. And if you run into any challenges, just visit kyberlite.com and use our contact us form to reach out. Now that you've got your Kyberlite all built, here's a couple things we wanted to go over just in terms of maintenance, kind of things you need to do. Number one, be sure to charge your Kyberlite. It has a rechargeable lithium-ion battery inside. So you'll just simply take a charger. I've got a charger plugged in here on the side. You'll notice it's this 1-inch charger here. Just plug it into the black charge port. And when it's plugged in, you will notice that the light on the charger will turn from green to orange. When it's orange, that means it's charging. Once it's green, that means it's fully charged. You are ready to go. So just disconnect, leave your charger there, and you're good to go. You should get 2.5 hours to 3 hours of continuous use. Most people use it throughout the day. They usually get 8 hours to 9 hours of battery life just with intermittent use. Last but not least, we want to talk about the tip and also the LED. So you'll notice that the blade tip here is removable. That's on purpose. We have different blade tips, and sometimes blade tips break in combat, so we want to be able to replace those for you. You can unscrew the blade tip very simply. Just unscrew it. That's just removable, and we'll put that back in. Now, some people like to glue down their tips. That's perfectly fine. You're welcome to do that. Just a little bit of crazy glue on the threading here, and it will hold on indefinitely. But some folks like to interchange tips so they don't glue those down. That's perfectly fine too. Last but not least, we want to be sure that we never look down the LED. So for example, I'll show you what I mean. If I unscrew the set screw here, not all the way, my blade will pop out. And you'll notice down here there's an LED. The LED shines at over 500 lumens. And so if you look down at the LED while it's on, without the blade in there, it will blind you. And so please don't look down the LED, don't point at other people's eyes. It's really quite painful. Be sure you always have your blade in whenever you ignite the saber, or at least a Kyberlite blade plug to block that LED. Last thing here, we have our pommel cap. Pommel cap is really important. It acts as a securing mechanism for the entire internal chassis of the saber. The internal chassis is meant to be removed, so when the pommel cap is on, it's locked in there. Be sure you don't play with the lightsaber without a pommel cap attached to the base of the saber, so your internals don't fall out and you don't have things break internally. Another thing to keep in mind is that on the back of your Kyberlite, you'll notice an LED screw port. It's just a couple inches lower than the blade screw port. The LED screw port holds your LED module in place. And it's so important that you don't unscrew it. Now you're welcome to tighten it if you feel like it's getting a bit loose, but don't unscrew it because that will allow your LED to move without anything holding it down, and it could pop out the top, become disconnected from your internals, and your saber won't work anywhere. So please don't touch this particular screw pretty much ever. One thing to keep in mind, you'll notice you have an extra long button screw in the back, and you may be tempted to use it to secure your sleeve to your hilt here at the bottom. Don't do that. You're only going to use the long button screw with a CoverTech wheel because it creates enough of a buffer in which it secures the CoverTech and the sleeve to the hilt, but it doesn't go so far into the hilt as to potentially puncture the battery. So we want to make sure you're safe. We want to make sure you don't get injured. So please just use the short button screw on the bottom opposite the CoverTech wheel. You can use a second short button screw on the bottom if you want to. That's just fine. We just can't use the long button screw without the CoverTech wheel attached. All right, guys. With that, that's the tour and the basics of the Kyber lightsaber. Best of luck to you, and please scroll down for our next video about functionality so you can get to know how to use your saber.